Coming to you live from Johannesburg. Thanks for staying with us on the Saturday AM edition of Newsfeed right here on Newzroom Africa, channel 405. You'll recall that President Cyril Ramaphosa last night delivered a virtual address to mark the ANC's 109th anniversary, in which he made several commitments on the impact of COVID-19, the governing party's stance on corruption, gender-based violence, and South Africa's response to continental conflicts. Now, our politics editor Ngalwa speaks to us ahead of the president's media address to unpack some of the commitments Ramaphosa mentioned in his statements. A very good morning to you. Of course, big commitments were made by the president last night, as we heard him speak to several pressing matters like COVID-19, and of course reiterating his call for those facing serious charges to voluntarily step down. I know that you and several media houses are gathered there at Luthuli House. Give us a sense of why you're there and what's expected today.
Yes, that's right, Mpo. We are here at Luthuli House, and this is where the president had delivered his January 8th statement yesterday. And as is the norm generally, as you said, quite correctly, that there were a number of commitments that were made in terms of how the governing party, which is the ANC, will prioritize COVID-19 and also the economic recovery of the country. So what normally happens is that the president, a day or so thereafter, as we said last year when the ANC had its January 8th statement in Kimberley, he sits down with the broadcasters and the members of the media just to unpack and that statement, because of course you would know that there has been reaction, and that speech has been received with mixed feelings. So obviously this is our opportunity to prod the president to ask questions so that he can explain some of the announcements that he made yesterday. And I think it must be said, Mpo, that also yesterday's speech was around 50 minutes or thereabouts, and which is quite unprecedented. That tells you that there are a lot of issues that we will go through during that interview. So it will be a one-on-one between ourselves and the president, just unpacking that January 8th statement, and also understanding that this is a crucial year. It's an election year, and obviously the ANC's January 8th statement is meant to be the party's program of action, which kind of outlines what it identifies as its priorities for the year ahead. So in a nutshell, Mpo, so those are some of the issues we will be touching on during our conversation with the president.
As you speak about the local government elections being an imperative part of the conversation, we know that yesterday the president reminded members of their responsibility to ensure that the party wins this year's local government elections. Talk to us about some of the hard-hitting elements that, of course, could affect the outcome of these elections, as he made the statement yesterday.
Look, the reality there is that for the fact that we had a virtual ANC January 8th statement, which came a month or so after the DA had a virtual National Congress, kind of tells us that this is a political year like no other. And as you would know, that political parties in this country have actually mastered, in fact, the ANC has mastered the art of mass mobilization, which includes door-to-door campaigning in communities. It looks like this year that is not going to be the case, given the fact that we're seeing increasing numbers of infections of coronavirus infections. So obviously it's going to be difficult for the parties to campaign, and it will be interesting to see what innovations they come up with to be able to convince the electorate to support them in this electoral year. But also, more importantly, the ANC is also facing a bigger problem, given the fact that in 2016 it was punished by the voters in 4 metros, that is Johannesburg, Nelson Mandela Bay, and Ekurhuleni, although it's still in charge of Ekurhuleni and now Johannesburg after the by-elections. The reality is that they rule there through coalitions, and the ANC would be hoping to convince voters in these urban centers that it has now turned the corner, in that it has learned from its lessons, but whether the party has done enough to convince the voters that their lessons have been learned from all the issues that would have repelled voters in 2016, it remains to be seen, because issues of corruption are still uppermost in the minds of most members, but also there is a perception that the ANC is not strong enough in dealing with issues of corruption. The rhetoric is there, but it's the action that is lacking, Paul.
Very well. Let's leave it there for now. Our politics editor, Ngalwa, at Luthuli House, as we will be taking you there in about 10 minutes or so as the Q&A with President Cyril Ramaphosa takes place. Now,